Right. Assalamu alaikum class. Welcome to your revision edition of this term, where we are going to be revising everything we've done at the course of this term. Alright, so in this time we talk about several topics which include living things and non-living things, characteristics of living things, cell structure and function, classification of living organisms, and talk about cells and their parts. Right? Alright, so let's quickly go down to our first topic where we defined we had a brief history of biology, and we also define biology. And we say biology was derived from two Greek words which include bio and logos, right? And we said bio means life and logos means studies. Is that not so? Simply, if you put it together, it means what? The study of life. So you can't just say biology is the study of living things because it does not just stop there. It also considers the environment at which those living things live. And examples of early biologists include Aristotle and the rest of it, who studies animals, microscope, and Anton van Leeuwenhoek, who finally discovered cells, right? Now we move next to what branches of biology. So biology has different branches. Take those branches to be like specifications, right? Study of specific fields or specific areas in your biology, right? We have zoology that talks about animals, like we said, zoo means animal, logos means study. Botany, who means animals, and tiny means what study as well. Microbiology. When we say microbiology, we are talking about what tiny life is done also, right? Tiny life, which includes things like fungi, viruses, and protozoa. Lastly, ecology. Once you hear that statement, ecology simply means what? Our environment and how we interact with it as what living organisms is done also. Anatomy simply means what? The study of the internal structure of living things. Is done also. Do not confuse it with physiology. Physiology means the physical appearance. Is done also. Anatomy means what? The internal structure, not just the structure. Genetics, study of hereditary, and we have what cells that talks about what? Study of cells. Now, lastly, we have what? Parasitology from the name paras. Parasi means what? Parasite, right? And logy means what? Study. So we can always recap that as well, study of life and how they interact with their host and what benefit they are of to their host or not. Next, we talk about what application of what biology. These are several fields that you can venture into that we apply what the knowledge of biology, pharmacy, environmental science, food industry, forensic science, and the what rest. These are possible fields where you can make what application of what biology. Next, we talk about career. Possible careers that you can venture into after studying biology. That's nice. Of course, if you are studying biology, you'll be curious about what kind of career you venture into or what possible job type you would like to go on in the future, right? So do not worry. Studying biology does not just go to waste. You can be a teacher, you can be a microbiology, nurse, pharmacy, agriculturist, or a veterinary doctor. Right. I know a lot of you during career day decided to go for decided to go to the hospital just because you want to become a doctor is done also. Very okay. Take your biology serious. Now we move down to the next one, right? The next one is living things and non-living things. We said what? Living things are things that have life or what displays all characteristics of what life, right? You know what characteristics of life are, Mr. Nanjadi or Mrs. Green. I believe by saying that you already know what I mean. Right? I would say non-living things are things that do not have life or do not possess characteristics of life. Is that not so? All right. Now, we also say at the same time, we have things that are living and non-living things, right? Example, we have things like virus, right? For those things that are both living and non-living, it depends on the environment at which they find themselves, right? If they find themselves in a conducive environment, they come to life, and if they find themselves in a harsh environment, they become what? Dormant, and what? Act as non-living things. Right? These are examples of living things and non-living things, as you can see on your screen, right? It has been categorized into what? Two parts, living and non-living things. Now we talk about the differences. If you can remember your characteristics of life, you can simply tell out what differences. Because we are just revising, I will not go in details. Now we have what? I've already explained this to you. As we have said earlier, we have things that what? Behave as living things and non-living things, right? That means based on the environment. As you can see, seed as well is a living and non-living thing. Because number one, if seed does not find itself in the what? In a soil, and for that matter, a conducive soil and environment, it does not come to life. So you have to sow a seed and care for that seed for it to come to life. If the seed is just out there laying dry, it does not come to life because there's nothing to feed it or give it the necessary energy to grow. And spore fungi and bacteria. Now, the next one we'll talk about is we'll look into characteristics of living things. Just like I've said, in short, right? Using what's it called? Acronyms, right? We talk about what? We said you can either use what? Mr. Nanjadi or Miss Green. So I'll take it one by one. Using Mr. Nanjadi, right? You have M for movement, R for respiration, N for nutrition, I for irritability or stimuli. We'll talk about that in details in case you are not familiar with the term. You have G for growth, E for excretion, and R for the last R for reproduction, right? We said the earlier one was respiration, then also. Then lastly we have P for death, right? All right, this is where we take it to in details. I believe you all know what movement means. To change what? To perform displacement, to change from one place to another. Mind you, during class, some of you said, what? Does that mean plant is not a living thing? No, plant is a living thing. And that's why I gave you some example that plants actually move, right? But they move in response to what? Changes in their environment. For example, now you have special plants that when being touched, they fold up their leaf because they act as a regard to perceiving threat. Than also. We have what? Plants that on rainy day they blossom. That means they spread their leaf proudly, and on sunny days they close up. Than also. Just to reserve what? Just to reserve their osmo level. I believe you know what I meant by osmo level, their water level, of course. Now we talk about respiration. All right, let's practice this with me. Are you breathing? I believe you just breathe in and breathe out. Is that not so? Now, non-living things cannot breathe in or breathe out. You can never see a tin of milk breathe in or breathe out, or a can of malt breathe in or breathe out, right? But we breathe in and breathe out. Is that not so? We take in oxygen and we give out carbon dioxide. For plants, it is opposite. They give out what's it called? Oxygen. They take in carbon dioxide. All right. Nutrition. All right. Nutrition is not all about eating. Do you get it? It's not about all about eating. It's also about what your body making use of what these nutrients that you've taken in. Do you understand? You break down the food and your body absorbs the necessary nutrients from this food. Now, irritability. Irritability, all through our life, we encounter changes, some that are in our favor, some that are not in our favor, right? It all matters on how we respond to those changes. Is that not so? On cold days, we wear cardigans. On hot days, we wear light clothes. Nobody likes stress. Now, the next one is what? Growth, right? Growth only occurs if two things change, right? If two factors changes, like I told you in class, if there's increase in what two things, both your size and your what? Your mass, which you can also say weight. If your size increase, automatically your what? Your weight will definitely increase. They go hand in hand, right? For example, now you are not the same height or weight while you were a baby. Things change. Now we also talk about what? Excretion, right? Now, I believe you know what I meant. It means by what? Excreting, right? Giving out waste. Byproduct. What's it called? Yes, giving out waste, right? That means product that your body do not need, right? If these substances tend to accumulate in your body, it tends to cause harm to you. So, just the body gives it out. Now, reproduction. Wow, that's beautiful. You see human beings giving birth, animals giving birth, pets giving birth, and the rest of it like that. But not have you ever, not once in lifetime have you ever seen maybe your laptop or your mouse or your what's it called, your ring light or your curtain double itself or give birth to a young one. So that's what we mean by what? Reproduction, giving birth to young ones. Now, majority of you had the confusion about how to define dates, right? During the course of our class. Now, you were saying death is when things stop, or death is when someone passes away, or no. Death in the general time is when life ceases, right? When life ceases, right? It is the end of what? All living things. So when life ceases, that's it. That's death, right? Plants, life ceases. Humans, life ceases. Even for things that are not living things, when time comes, they decay, they rot away. But we are really into living organisms now. All right. Now we talk about what? Cells, right? And their structure and functions. Now, I believe you can still remember the definition of cell. Cell can simply be said what as the basic unit of life or fundamental unit of life. The reason why we say it is the basic or fundamental unit of life is because it is upon cell every other thing about your living organisms is built. If there are no cells, there won't even be an us. Do you understand? Because it is a group of cells that comes together to make an organ, make a tissue, and to even end up having the whole living organism. So if there is no cell, just forget about it. Now, different types of cell, right? This is the definition for cell. Like I've said, we also have categories of cell, which are two: unicellular cells and multicellular cells. It's done with unicellular cells are what simple what cells, and multicellular cells are what multiple. They can be simple and complex at times. Now, types of cell for your level, we stop at this, but there are cells that are beyond it, right? Now, animal cells, which belongs to the animals, obviously, and plant cells, which belongs to the plant, obviously. Next, we have what different parts. Now, note that the plant and animal cells shares what certain parts in common. They share what certain parts in common. Now, cell membrane belongs to what animal cells. Is done also they protect the what cell. Is done also why cell wall belongs to what plant cells, but serve the same functions as the what the cell membrane. We have cytoplasm, that's where most of the cell organelles are found, right? It's like a jelly-like substance where other organelles are found. We have the nucleus, which is that is the central hub of the cell, right? That's where hereditary store, the whole life activities in cells are being monitored. Vacuole are majorly for what? For storage or for excretion, depending on what organism and what it uses for. We have mitochondria, which is also regarded as what? Powerhouse of the cell, because it provides energy to what all other organisms of the cell. Now, what the plant cell has that the animal cell do not have, like I've said, is what? The cell wall and the chloroplast. The chloroplast specifically because we human beings or animals do not undergo what? Photosynthesis, but plants undergo photosynthesis. That's why they need that particular organ called chloroplast. Now, difference between plant and animal cells, I believe gone through that even while discussing the parts and functions, right? So, importance of cells, right? Like I've told you, if you don't have cells, you don't even exist, right? So you need cells for every life activity like feeding, breathing, growth, production. Without cells, living things cannot survive. Let me even get it straight. Cannot exist. All right. That will be now. Let's summarize the whole thing. Smallest cell is the smallest unit of life, fundamental unit of life, basic unit of life. All living things are made of one or more cells, right? If it is one, it is cellular. More, multicellular, right? They have different parts and functions. We'll discuss them. The two types that we just have is what? Plant and animal cells. From the name, plant belongs to plant, animal cells belong to animal. All right. Classifications of living things. Now, why do we classify living things? We classify living things for the sole purpose of what? Easy identification, right? So once you have a glance at them, you easily know this animal or this category that this animal belongs to, right? So let's go to the next one. This is the reason. Identify, study, know the relationship between organisms and avoid confusion. Period. Not hard. Now, major groups of living things. Like I said, we have Monera, Protista, fungi, plants, right? Monera, simple unicellular organisms like bacteria, what's it called? Then you have what? Protista, right? You have amoeba and what? Euglena. They are what? Single cell with true cells, right? True cells. The Monera do not have with true nucleus. Sorry, the Monera do not have nucleus. The Protista now has nucleus. So as you go down the table, you are going from simple to complex. Is that okay? Fungi, they cannot what make their own food. So they absorb food from what other living organisms. You have plenty of course from the name plant, right? You have the tree, flowers, and grasses. Animalia, from the name you have animals. So this is the what? The major group of what kingdom of living things. They are 5 in numbers. Please do well to memorize them. Monera, Protista, fungi, plantia, and animalia. Now, classification based on what? Features. Now, based on features, we use these features to name organisms. For example, now you have the Homo sapiens, dinosaur, we used two categories of classification of organisms to name them. We have the genus and the species. The genus comes first with a capital letter followed by the species name. Example, Homo sapien. Now, Homo comes with a capital letter and they are both underlined. So Homo is the word genus, the sapien is the species name. Remember, the sapien does not come with a capital letter. Now, down to our last topic, right? This is our last topic. I believe we were unable to do this due to the unfortunate incident. So scientific naming. So the scientific naming of organisms is what we call what binomial nomenclature. The scientific naming of organisms, right? You can name them based on the number of cells, how they feed, presence of backbone or not, where they live, their behavior, their all those things, or how they even give birth, right? Like you have animals that give birth to live organisms, and you have some that give birth to them in form of egg. You have oviparous. At your stage, I believe you don't understand that. You will come to know it. So this is your assignment, right? You can quickly do this and drop it down in the comment section for me. I would like to know what kingdom this organism falls under and how many cells they possess, right? I believe we've come to the end of our lessons with this. So, mashallah, best of luck with your exams. It's coming soon. And guide and protect us. So take care. Have a good